We make promo gear, shirts, and yeah, thank you for coming. You know, we're gonna cover some basics in cannabis. How many people here smoke weed? All right. See, hopefully everybody's hands up right now.
There you go.
I hope you've been smoking weed today, because today we're celebrating cannabis, because we've really come a long way. You know, I remember when I was growing up, getting arrested for weed numerous times, and it really came a long way where now I'm at a show with weed and police, and I take photography, I take pictures, and today I got a picture of we have a mascot, his name's Bonfolio, he's a singing bong, and he's rolling around on his scooter. I had some of the girls webcamming, and then the cop, and all in one picture. And so it was just like, it's like, wow. But yeah. Dan?
Fun times. Hey everybody, I'm Danny Loa. I'm the editor of HeadyNJ.com. We're a media company covering New Jersey cannabis and plant medicine news here in the community for the Great Garden State. It's been a lot of fun, covering the basics of this. This has been going on for like some 5 years now. We have like a market now. It's been really fun to cover that after the politics of it and the culture here, like this great event. Now that we can be here, and it's like really fun that this is like a great event in this place, but there's like children play with dinosaurs bums like over there like 3 months ago. So like this is a really fun place to be, in my home. So here we are. Thank you. So, Jake, introduce yourself.
So I'm Brian Toman, a world champion joint roller, sponsored by Raw and pretty much all the big name rolling companies. Basically could help answer any questions that you have with rolling issues. Rolling joints and rolling blunts are completely two different techniques, so a lot of people try to use one for the other and struggle and are confused why. So I can try to help you with that.
Nice, thank you. So yeah, I'm gonna start this panel off by saying if we're gonna have consumers now might not know all about this great plant and people. Some people know everything. You're like an expert in the nuance of these things. So, but a lot of people are new to it. So what would you say, Newbies? Hi, how are you? I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm gonna get high. Can you help me, please?
So basically to start, I would say maybe getting a small joint to start, and just taking a few puffs, putting it down for a good 20 minutes and just seeing how you're feeling. If you feel good, then if you want to, relight it. But if not, most people tend, when they first start out, to over-medicate themselves, and then they get a negative connotation with what the plant is. Even though that has a lot of amazing benefits, it can definitely be too much for some people to start. So to start slow is not a bad thing.
Chris?
For your first time, you should definitely not take edibles, preferably. I know a lot of people are kind of scared to smoke, maybe. That's kind of it's kind of the thing I hear a lot. It's, I want to try cannabis, but I don't want to smoke or get high. So it's kind of making that leap into, yes, I'm going to take some cannabis, and there's a way to use it where you can moderately take it. You don't have to get super fucked up, and and that's just in the education, knowing your dosage and knowing your milligrams. So that's why one of the good things in the market now that you can have exact dosages, and that it's actually 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams that you're taking. Yeah, I would suggest probably smoke a joint, take a couple hits off a joint, and and put it down, just like you said. That's what you got to do, and you kind of have to jump over that hurdle. At first, when you first smoke cannabis, it's kind of wow, you're high, and you have this crazy experience. But after that is really when you start using it medically. After a while, it starts affecting you. You don't use it so much to party, but you use it to you see the different benefits it has. It calms your stomach. I use it for my back. I was in a car accident for pain, and anxiety, and there's all different types of ways you can use it.
Nice, thank you. That's good points there. Lefty?
I'm Lefty Grimes. I'm with SativaCross.org as well. And I'm going to roll a blunt and a clamshell roller here. Normally you wouldn't do that, but I've actually figured out a way to do it where you can actually make it work. And I'll check back in with you later about how my progress here. It's not going to be as beautiful as yours, but it's going to be a blunt. Have you ever done a blunt? Have you ever rolled a blunt? Like into something artful?
Yeah, definitely. So with blunt rolling, it's a lot different than joint rolling because each leaf is different. So you can't roll every single blunt the same exact way. Each one, you're gonna have to try to find your own way. The way that blunts are cut is they cut along with the stem, but if you roll against the stem, it's gonna give you a lot of issues. But if you follow along with it and try to put the blunt back how it came together, then it'll almost roll itself back together. So it just depends on the leaf that you get to and where it's from. Like if you get like a white owl or something, there's gonna be no stems in it. But if you get something like this, where it's like a fronto leaf, there's gonna be stems in it. And do you see how there's like the stems come at an angle? They're not like straight. So basically, you would roll it so you roll with the angle of the stems, so then it doesn't resist you, and then it pretty much rolls itself up back how it came.
I also flatten the stem out with a lighter or something smooth.
I use a little rolling pin.
Yeah, something just to make it a little more pliable.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
How fast can you roll a blunt? The fastest you can roll a blunt?
The thing about rolling is it's not a race.
Oh, wow.
For
Okay.
me, like I'd rather just have the perfect smoke and take 10 extra minutes. I mean, I've made some people wait like 4 hours for one roll before just because I'm a perfectionist. Like,
Wow.
if you look at rolling as like
How do
something
you, what do they, can you mind if I ask what they, how do you do the competitions then? What are the competitions based on? Are they not speed? What are they based on?
So like with the competition style stuff, the competitions that I compete in are the creative rolling ones. So
okay.
basically anything you can think of, like, I don't know, Bugs Bunny, I can turn it into a joint that looks like Bugs Bunny. So those ones, it's like you'll have a whole year in advance to get your submissions ready. It's an all online competition. Raw hosts it every year, and they announce the winners on 420.
So is it like paper mache when you're doing it like that almost?
So there's two different styles of doing it. One is like molding, which a lot of people do. I struggle with that because I don't have the patience for it.
Okay.
I just like to continuously be working, but with molding, if it's too wet, you have to just let it sit for hours until it's dry and then come back to it. But like, I just like to keep picking things up and keep working on them. So I freehand everything. So every shape, every angle, like I figure out a way how to roll it and like get it to smoke right.
What do you use for your medium, like your papers and stuff? Like, are they large papers? Are they like little papers? Are they?
So basically, Raw sent me a like the bobbin that they use to like on their machine with all their papers, but it's like a 5 foot wide one, and there's like a bunch of like little glue strips like in the middle, and then they cut right down the middle of that glue strip, and then they make individual papers with it. They just sent it to me before they did that, so I just have this ginormous paper that I can make like any
I
joint
can do
with.
such cool things with that. So awesome.
Thank you.
Hello? Yeah, sorry about that. This mic, not the best. So, so I was gonna ask everybody to say, like, what's your favorite method of consumption and why? But I think I might know yours already. But I guess like if you roll, it's like, what's your favorite thing to roll then?
So surprisingly, I like to take dabs because I roll all day long. So after rolling for 10 hours straight, you don't really want to roll another one for yourself. So I take dabs because it gives me a good like mental break. It's like, oh, I can take this and enjoy it, but it doesn't feel like I'm just still working. But for most people, it's not like that. You're not just going to be rolling for 10 hours straight at any point. But yeah.
I got one more question.
Yeah.
Curiosity. do they have to be smokable? Like, is it like part of the competition that you have to be able to light and smoke this thing?
Yeah, so it's all based off of previous winners of the competition become judges. So they have experience of like knowing if something is going to smoke or not, based on the angles and how the roller prepared the roll. There's a thing called plumbing. It's basically like Canagar. So you
Raiders roll.
honestly, for using the roll, that's pretty fire. Probably like a good 8. Pronto is not
So
easy to roll.
that's an easy way for patients to roll if you're not a world champion joint roller, you can roll it in one of these little clamshells.
Clamshell's great. You need a grinder, makes it life easier with a grinder, although some people like to break it up with their fingers, old school. But I like either. I use a Vanna leaf, I'm not promoting them, but I like these are good. They have the big leaves too, to cut those up.
Yep.
They're usually not thicker, and the stem is like monstrous on those.
So yeah, that's a European style leaf versus the leaves that we're getting that are thicker style broadleafs. They're typically from Virginia. It's just the climate that we have versus what Europeans have. They can grow a thinner leaf that's like still has good tension to it and won't rip, but it's crazy thin. But in Virginia, they have broadleafs which are a little thicker and a little easier to roll. Like all of backwoods are rolled with broadleafs.
Now these flavored blunt rollers, the blunt papers, is that chemicals that they spray on there?
Yeah,
is that
so-
not real chocolate, right?
Yeah, so like backwoods specifically, they do make natural leaf ones. They're called Pennsylvanias or something like that. But mainly, like all of their flavored leaves, they take the normal leaf and then they take a spray with more nicotine and flavoring, and then they spray it on and coat it over it. So it's like not the best for you at all. If you were to like wash off the leaf, like it turns like an entire like paper towel like brown. But like if you were to wash off one of those loose leaves, they have like nothing come off of it because they were already washed and it's just the leaf, nothing sprayed on it, no additives.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the. They're adding all these terpenes to the papers, and then on like the market they're adding like terpene infused flour, and it gives it an extra. But the problem is the terpenes that they're using, they're
Can we say
they're
what's
not-
terpenes, Chris? To,
So terpenes is the essence of the flower. So all the little sticky trichomes on the end of the buds that contain all the THC, CBD, there's 100 different cannabinoids, and the terpenes give the plant the smell. And all plants have a distinct terpene, like oranges have citrus terpene profile. And so that's what gives, so the terpenes that they're using, they're coming from oranges, or they're either using natural terpenes that come from different fruits, or they're using artificial terpenes, where they're just making it in the lab to make it smell like bubblegum. You know, so and that's what they're adding to the paper, and sometimes they're adding it to the bud, which is I would definitely stay away from any terpene added things. Like they had like the Mike Tyson roll the other day. I had the toad, and it was like it's good for flavoring and stuff, but it's like if you really want to taste the flower, which is what I want to do, like so I wouldn't go with any of the terpene added there.
Isn't it true that the terpenes in your marijuana are also the same similar to the same terpenes found in some like oranges and herbs?
Yeah, like they can use cannabis-derived terpenes, and that would be better. Like especially in the vapes, you get that a lot in the vapes, because especially when you come to the distillate vapes. The distillate vapes, when it goes through the distillation process, it strips everything out. It's only 99% THC. It doesn't have CBD. It doesn't have any terps. It doesn't have any smell or taste. And now you're in a position where they're reintroducing the flavoring to the oil. So they can either use cannabis-derived terpenes, but that's more expensive because you have to extract the cannabis. And now if you're not using it to get high, you're using it just to get the smell and the essence of it. You know? So like companies tend to get natural occurring and artificial terpenes. They're cheaper. And so that's what they're putting into the vapes, into the distillate vapes at least. Distillate opposed to a live product, a live resin product. It's a whole plant, and that has cannabis terpenes already extracted in it. So that's where you get the differences from the oils. So the distillate, they're reintroducing terpenes into it. Live resin and hash resin, it has the whole plant. It has all the cannabis terpenes that you want, all in that. So
To add on that, so distillate is extracted through a process called VHO. So they use butane hash extraction to get all of the THC out, and it separates all the CBD and all of the, basically all the things you would want in it, besides the thing that's gonna get you high. And then they, on the backside, they will add that in. But on solventless materials, they flash freeze the plant right after they cut it. So it freezes all of those terpenes that are volatile to, once you dry out that plant and cure the flower, it'll lose all of those terpenes that are volatile to being dissolved by basically like the air and the temperature around it. So solventless is a little bit cleaner because it's just ice water and they're just pressing it afterwards. So it's a cleaner material and you get everything that you'd want from it. But because of that, you see a premium price on it. And
just touching back on terpenes. Terpenes really affect like the high that you're gonna get out of the product. A lot of people get the misconception of buying per THC percentage and don't regard the terpenes, because that's what's really gonna affect your high. So lemon terpenes, that are limeine, anything that smells really lemony, that's gonna uplift you. That's a sativa. You know, anything citrusy, lemony. Anything.
What's sativa?
Sativa is the classification of the plant that kind of, weed kind of makes you do two things. It makes you get up or it makes you go down, right? So sativa is the classification of plant where they say kind of uplifts you. And so anything lemony smelling, that's gonna be a sativa. So that's gonna wake you up. Anything more gassy smelling, like skunky, that's gonna be indica couch. You're gonna be sleeping. So when you're picking your weed throughout the day, you know, you don't want to smoke something real gassy in the morning. You're gonna be all tired, you know. You want to smoke something like really lemony, light sativa, and yeah.
Right, that's always like the thing about cannabis is like there is a strain for you, for example, for like what you want at that time of the day. Like if you want like a peppy strain, like a peppy smoke at a party, like you can get that. You can like smoke and get edibles. You know, sometimes like you can definitely get like indica edibles, for example, if you just want to watch like a movie, for example, and get like smoking to that, for example. So I think that would be fun. I guess when Chris is the dad here, I think you're a big dad guy. Then you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, just the most efficient way to really consume. Sometimes you don't have time to smoke a whole joint, you know, and or even smell like it, because now you can just take a dab real quick, and you don't smell as much. It's way more efficient. It's cleaner because you're not burning, you're not combusting, you're not burning plant material and inhaling
It
that.
also knocks you on your butt.
What was it?
So don't forget it also knocks you on your butt.
Yeah. Well, that's why a little dab would do you. So that's why it's efficient, but you know it can be a little bit too efficient at times. You know.
Yeah, they're very strong tabs. I would not recommend that to anybody that's
the
new,
thing
actually, but you should know what it is because it's fun.
The thing is with cannabis is all about your tolerance. Like going back to like I was saying, the first time you smoke, you're like, oh wow, I'm super high, and it takes a little bit where the cannabis builds up in your system. And your cannabinoid, you have the cannabinoid receptors in your body that kind of get like recharged, you know, because you're reintroducing cannabinoids. And once you get those full and you get build a tolerance, you get more benefit out of it, and then like you can obviously smoke more, you know. So once you start dabbing, your tolerance goes out the roof, you know. So it's kind of like smoking a joint becomes kind of like a cigarette, like. Because you start adding the wax to the joint. That's the road that leads down to. Now you're twaxing joints.
Nice.
You're putting keys on the joints. They get real creative. I don't know if you've seen.
Right, these are all like technical terms of the
I've seen a little display. It was like a little house, and it was all made out of wax and keef. It was like snow. They get a little creative with like cannabis art.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of
And yeah, so this is the Carta V2. Now the portable rig has really came a long way. When I started dabbing, you know, the wax was black. We called it poop soup, and we were using a big blowtorch and heating up a titanium nail until it was red hot. And then we're like, yeah, red means go. So like since then, there's been a lot of education about the temperature you should be consuming concentrates at, and now we know low temp is way better because obviously you don't want to inhale something 700 degrees. Like I keep my rig at like 400 degrees and like actually like 395 because if you have the Carta V2, it kind of runs a little hot. So but anywhere between like 350 up to like 600 is a good temperature. Hash rods you kind of want to do a little bit lower because then you can really taste the terps and at a lower temp the terps really come out. You know, 'cause if it's too high, you're burning the terps, and terps burn at a certain temperature. You know. But yeah, the vapes are great too now that they're convenient, and that's what really makes the concentrate.
What's a vape?
A vape is a portable device, you know, kind of like the nicotine vape, but has cannabis oil in it. And that's what we were talking about before too, that some vapes have distillate and some vapes have live resin. And I would always go for the live resin. Now distillate does have its places too. I would use a distillate one when you have to be more discreet, where like you're in an environment where you have to sneak a vape and it doesn't smell like weed, because the ones that are distillate don't smell like weed, they smell like strawberry, and people think it's normal vape. So the live resin hash ones do smell like weed, so everyone's gonna know.
Nice. Lefty, I think I have a good question for you. Let's say I'm somebody who's like got ailments, you know, and I'm thinking about becoming like a medical cannabis patient. What would you say to them?
Well, I have a lot of ailments. I have an artificial disc, L4L5, a Fusion L5S1, a 2-level cervical fusion. And when I had my 2-level cervical fusion, I didn't use any opiates at all, zero. And I was surprised. I was actually shocked because I had cannabis my whole life. And here I am after surgery, not using any opiates. And I had the opiates sitting there on the dresser, ready if I needed them, but I didn't need them. I use cannabis oils, I use cannabis tincture, cannabis edibles, and cannabis suppositories. And actually, the cannabis suppository is very helpful. I'm actually going to demonstrate how I inserted the cannabis. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. I got you, though. You thought you had no. But it was helpful. I'm telling you, and it's maybe uncomfortable. But you know what? You just lay down for a half hour, and I didn't take any friggin' pills for this surgery. A 2-level cervical fusion. That's amazing. I also had a pastor pray for me, which is also 11% of recovery. But that's also another thing. And I believe there's a spiritual use for cannabis as well, and especially if you're sick. It helps so many different ailments. It's in the Bible. It's in the Bible for a reason. And I believe if you're a patient, I can help you get off opiates. If you have an opiate addiction, I can help you. I can help you walk through it because I did it. I was on opiates for 10 years. My prescription was 90 milligrams every 3 hours. That's an insane amount if you know what opiates are.
Wow.
That's an insane amount of opiates. They're trying to kill me.
That's a lot, and that's
For all my
similar to
pain.
heroin. Wow.
It was terrible. So it took me 10 months to get off the
God bless.
opiates.
That's insane.
I tried the first time, I failed. I tried the second time, I failed the third time. And now I'm going
Yeah,
down
to get
from
off.
90 to 45 to 30. I'm titrating down to 40 to 30, 15, 8. I hit a wall at 4 milligrams. So at that point, I had to go cold turkey. And I would literally be on the floor in my room in the fetal position at the third day. So because of my pain, because of the withdrawals, it was horrible. And then the fourth time I actually succeeded and I got off those damn opiates, and it was, I feel so much better.
You ever use cannabis to get off? Did that
Only
happen?
cannabis, only cannabis, that's all
That
I
makes
do.
sense.
Yeah, that's it. But I didn't make it easy on myself. At that time, I didn't know about suppositories, or I didn't have edibles. I didn't have tincture. I had a big bag of sour diesel, and that just worked for me.
Nice.
For whatever reason. that
Smoking
worked.
blunt, rolling joints, pipe, bomb, everything, all the above.
So don't feel hopeless if you can't get off those opiates. It took me 4 times, and it's not easy. It'll be probably the hardest thing you ever do, but it'll be worth it. And cannabis is your friend for that. If you need help, and you can reach out to us. We have experience.
Yeah, so if I'm gonna be so what's like be involved with becoming a patient? You're saying what are like the best benefits?
Smoking in public is always good. Well, it cost me $1,600 for my card. I don't know if anyone has ever paid that much. I paid more than anybody I know. $1,600 for the card. I had to wait a year. This is back in 2013.
Right.
And
a
cop told me he would arrest me if I pulled out my medical cannabis. I said, oh, this is not good. And that's when I created the ignorance is no excuse tour. I started going to a police station because I was mad that I spent all this money and time waiting for a card that doesn't mean nothing. The police are going to arrest me anyway. So I'm like, okay, they're coming for me. I'm going to go to them. So I went to all the police stations I could have been in New Jersey. And I would ask them, where do I smoke weed in New Jersey? I'd throw my jar on the table. Excuse me, I just bought this jar of Breakwater. Where do I smoke this around here? And they would look at me like I'm crazy. The greatest thing ever. And they would have to call everybody. They called their sergeant, called the lieutenant, called the captain, called their wife. One guy called his wife. And they called the prosecutor's office. And finally they said, yeah, you can go smoke by the flagpole. You can smoke by that bench over there. It was like, and I had over and over and over again to do that. It was insane.
Wow. Right, that was like the thing about like the medical program was that like the rollout was so, it was hard to get it, and then like the rollout was like terrible under like former Governor Chris Christie.
We can't afford it.
That Republican governor, nobody much cares for, you know.
Remember Scutari? He said, you wouldn't even have cannabis if it wasn't for me. Wouldn't have overpriced cannabis if it wasn't for you.
Well,
I had cannabis my whole life without Scutari.
Legalization, the nature of it is very difficult in New Jersey, being the nature of the state it is. In the light of like seeing the scandals with Bob Menendez and George Norcross this year. It's quite the year to get these in the news so publicly that it reflects poorly upon our land, and it's true though, and a true reflection. It makes it difficult, you know, but like we did do it. It was one of the hardest things to do in New Jersey history since like the legalization of gambling in AC, in Atlantic City. But we were at the forefront of it, and we did get it, and I think it did help. For example, like did create like what you needed was like this energy behind it to get it. There's like a lot going on. It's difficult the nature of like adult use versus medical, because let's say like if I'm anxious and I have stomach problems, I know what I need is something called cannabinoid. This thing, the compounds in it. So like THC is the most famous one. Another one is CBG. It's good for inflammation. So if I know, let's say there's a dispensary in Highland Park that has like the strain I need, do I really need to be a patient? It's a difficult issue. You know, if I know what I need, if I'm that savvy to do that, because I mean, there are benefits to it. You know, you do get parking, you do have the card, and like I still feel I am a patient, just like a de facto patient, not like an official patient. A lot of de facto patients out there. I think a lot of people realize they're de facto patients. Like when you have anxiety, it's a medical, mental issue. So it's a big issue in society, like understanding these things. And like it's funny to joke about, but it's also like serious, and like people have like mental health. Like we understand more in the wake of like the COVID pandemic. So you know, it's good times where like cannabis is at the forefront. You know, we have patients. It's difficult the nature of these things, like the politics of it in New Jersey. But you know, we've made progress bit by bit. So
yeah,
that was
right now the patient community, not a lot of people are getting their cards because, as you said, there's no benefits to it except you have a bigger limit and you get some discounts, right? So a lot of dispensaries honor discounts. I'm with Casa Verde. We just opened up in Dover, and at our dispensary we allow 10% for medical patients, and they're able to stack their discounts with any other discount that we have going on.
Well, that's the other thing. If you're just like a medical patient, they can give you a discount at the dispensary. Like it's pretty sweet.
So, and that's the only, and you can smoke in public. So patients, we're the only state
Well,
where
the nature of
patients
smoking in public
smoke
is
in public,
interesting.
and that's why, and that's how I, when Lefty was going with the ignorance of no excuse for us, where I hooked up with Lefty, we've been to over 70 police stations doing this education to the police, because back then they didn't know that that medical cannabis even existed in New Jersey. Cops would tell us that this is a fraudulent card. This is not real in New Jersey. And we're like, we literally just bought this at the dispensary. Where can we smoke it? And they got to figure it out. They look up the law. They're like, yeah, 20 feet from the door. Meanwhile, we're like rolling our joint in their lobby room. A lot of cops were cool. A lot of cops were really confused.
That's some great cops.
Yeah, this seems like it's so hard under like the Christie era there, from like what 13 to 18,
Yeah.
where like this guy did not want it. It took forever to get it, and it was like the worst ever, and it was horrible.
And now it's like everyone can have 6 ounces. You can give an ounce to someone. I do a thing in Dover. It's called Burn Up Cleanup.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I chose to impact my community. And when everything went legal, we helped out the community cleanup, and we're picking up garbage. And I was telling my town, we need to say yes. My town's like a minority town, so and we're an impact zone. So I'm like, we need to take advantage that we're an impact zone, that cannabis is here. We need to say yes. We got to be the first ones in Morris County to say yes, we're opening up. And at that time, they did a temporary ban on it, and they were asking for volunteers for a cleanup. So I'm like, Mayor, we're gonna come and help with your cleanup. And at that cleanup, we started giving out joints. I had a sign, hunt for free weed, and we're giving out weed. Everyone was happy. Cops came, they couldn't do anything, they left. And since then, we've coordinated many more cleanups with the town, and the town just picks up the garbage, and we're out there. I literally tell the town I'm giving out joints, and we're cleaning up garbage, and we picked up 600 pounds of garbage at our last cleanup, including 2 bikes and a shopping cart out of the river.
Nice.
As for trash.
But from there, I met a lot of new people, especially that first day. We had a megahorn, and we're saying the cannabis community is here, come talk to us, because I use it as an educational platform. So, and a lot of people have came out, and they want information. A lot of veterans, people that haven't had access, and they want to know about different consumption techniques and stuff. Like he was saying, suppositories before. There's a lot of consumptions like that. Suppositories. If you have a stomach ache, it's also good to put some cannabis oil on your belly button, and that's another way of consumption, and that kind of helps with stomach pains. You know, you put it in your belly button. It works. You know, just like the suppository works. And there's different consumptions with like topicals. For my grandma, I give her a lot of topicals for her knee, and tinctures. Yeah.
Nice. Does anybody have any questions from the audience?
Yes.
Lefty, as someone who's gone through 10 operations on my back, I've got more metal in me than a DeSoto. What would you recommend, smoke or chewable? And what's the benefit of each to me? And just not to, I'm in pain 90% of the time. It puts me in a really bad mood all the time. I drink too much. Other than that, I'm a really nice guy, but pain has become a dominant part of my life. And I'm looking at 2 more surgeries. I know they're gonna happen.
Surgeries on your back. What, if you don't mind me asking, what kind of surgeries have you had?
I've had multiple fusions. I've got more nuts and bolts. When I look at an X-ray of my back, it looks like Home Depot. And my neck. I've had 4 different implants of, what the hell are they called anyway? The bullshit that they put into you with the
artificial
iPod.
disc?
No, the TEMS.
Oh.
The implanted TEMS.
Oh, no.
And then I had one that was implanted in my shoulder that actually had to be taken away because I have a hole in my shoulder because it turned out I was allergic to it. So I've been through some of the best spine guys in New Jersey and New York. Now Sinai's #1 guy operated on me, and it's just continuously falling apart.
Do you have degenerative disc disease?
Yeah,
Yeah, I got that. You have stenosis?
yeah.
I got that.
What would you recommend, Lefty?
I'm trying to, because
No.
we have the same thing here. I'm trying to figure out what works for me is dabbing. I dab all day long. But I supplement my dabs with flowers because when I dab, like they were saying before, a lot of the cannabinoids are stripped out of those dabs. So the dabs will get me through like the major pain, but then the other cannabinoids from the flower will actually get the whole spectrum that I need.
But when you say dab, what exactly do you mean?
It's a concentrate, right?
Concentrate.
Yes, it's from this that you're sucking with the root.
Go ahead, Lefty.
Yeah, the concentrates. It concentrates, extracts, resin, wax.
But can you put, I can't put it on my own spine. You have someone to do it for you, is that it?
What,
No, it's you smoke it.
it's
Oh,
vaporize.
see,
You vaporize it. You
I'm
vaporize it.
old school.
Yeah, you vaporize it.
Rolled
and
it in
you-
the schoolyard.
Yep, and it really helps me a lot.
Are topicals good for you
What
at
about
all?
chewables? Two of my doctors recommended chewables.
Yeah, whatever you, at that
Do
point.
they know what they're
whatever-
talking about?
If that works for you, yeah. But if you haven't tried dabs, I would think about that, because that would really put a number on your pain. It would really, it helps me intensely. And I don't know if I'd live without it, because it's rough. My pain's only getting worse. I've been in 2003 I had my accident, I had my surgeries. So, I'm dealing with this a long time. And I don't know how long you're dealing with this, but 10 years on opiates is a long time.
Since '83,
83, so yeah.
and I won't take opiates.
I don't want to ever take opiates again. So that's why I dab. If that works for you.
All right, we can. Thank you.
Start off small and work your way into it, of course.
And
Like
edibles
you
are
said
good
earlier.
too because
Edibles are great.
They take a longer time, right? When you smoke and you consume, the effects kind of go away after an hour or two.
Very careful.
When you eat an edible, it's more long term that you're feeling those effects.
Yeah.
I would probably recommend cannabis oil like RSO, FICO, full extraction cannabis oil. Have you heard of that or no?
I've heard of everything, but like I said, my.
So it's
knowledge is back in-
so it's a real dark oil, and it usually comes Rick Simpson oil. It usually comes in a syringe, and I put it for my patients. I put them in little capsules because you just need a little bit of this oil to feel the effect. It's super strong. Like you can make a whole tray of brownies with this oil, right?
I've
So-
actually heard it's outdated now. There's actually concentrates that work as good. My friend's been using something she gives to her mother for cannabis that's like a lot less like that nasty flavor you get from
Right,
RSO.
well, yeah, now
It's
they
like
have
a
the
thing-
edibles,
newer
but with-
stuff that's like it's just like same like an oil, but it's like super concentrated. I think it might even be rosin related.
Well, now they have the nano emulsion in a lot of these edibles because
It's nano emulsion.
when you take an edible, it usually takes like an hour for you to feel the effects. So now they have this nano emulsion technology where the cannabis is more bioavailable. So when you take it, and they're putting it in a lot of drinks. So once you drink it, it goes right into your blood. So it takes 20 minutes to feel the effects versus an hour to 2 hours. It's more bioavailable. So now there's more techniques like that where now you can feel the effects faster and it's more efficient to process.
Before use with edibles, typically if it's not nano-emulsified, it gets processed by your liver. But with the nano-emulsion, it soaks into the soft tissue in your stomach and goes straight into your bloodstream, so it doesn't take as long.
Nice. I think that might be it.
I would try pills like tablets or. Have you tried any gummies or anything?
Once.
I would try like
Nothing for me.
nothing. How much milligrams did you take? You
I
know?
have no idea. Once you bought me,
Did
two.
you get them like at from a store or like just like?
My son.
Okay.
So-
well, a lot of
That's good
things
stuff.
is just like finding your dose, and some people it doesn't. They don't process edibles well.
Yeah, so there's an enzyme in your liver that actually converts the THC that's edible into like what would actually break down in your body to get you high. I forget what that enzyme is called, but if you lack that enzyme, which I do, I can eat an infinite amount of edibles and I don't feel a thing. So for me, it's just food. But for some people, like they'll get way too high eating just the tiniest little bit. So it depends on how much enzymes you have and how it will react to you. So it's like a case by case thing. So edibles might not even work for you. It just kind of depends on dosing, if it's full spectrum. There's a bunch of different factors. Though it's kind of hard as a patient that is new to this to feel comfortable picking out a product on the shelf when there's so many different options. So the best thing that I could suggest is when you go into a dispensary is to talk to your bud tender. Tell them exactly what you have ailment-wise and what you want to accomplish with your product, and they can try to recommend something for you specifically.
I could also recommend, I would say, take a notebook and write down the strain and like write down what you tried and the amounts you tried so you can keep track of it, because you'll find something might work and then you want to remember what that was so you can go back to it, because some things won't work. Some strains are less good for pain and other things are, you know, so you want to find what works for you, like they've been saying. Anyway, great talk, guys.
Yeah, no doubt. So thank you, everybody. This has been great.
Guys.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Go to